We're going back into the Czechoslovakian well. Hey guys, welcome back to Pillbox Movies. I'm Hank. We're checking out the 1963 Czech film, The Cassandra Cat, or When the Cat Comes. This is a film by director Vojtěch Jasný. The movie is a fantasy film, a magic realism film, not really sure. There's a cat in it who can see the true colors of people once its glasses are removed. It also wears sunglasses. I've heard a lot of good things about this movie. It's apparently a classic for Czech viewers. So, yeah. With that thrilling introduction out of the way, let's watch The Cassandra Cat. And before we get started, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films.
Bylo, nebylo. Ale spíš bylo, než nebylo. Pozorovat život a cvrkot. Ovšem musí se navět z patřičné vejšky, ale ne zase z příliš velké vejšky, jako třeba astronauti, protože...
That's a funny line. So you wonder if it's this is supposed to be contemporary or if that's an intentional anachronism.
Drbna, skákavá. Ty dva totiž nejsou manželé, ale ona by těsně ráda, aby byli. To je její byt.
This is a cute little setup. Everybody knows everybody else. Everybody's in each other's business. It's interesting, the two perspectives being taken of trying to capture them, one with a camera and one with a gun. I wonder what kind of dichotomy is being set up with that.
Já a vrah? Blázinku.
Čemu je to dobré? Čápy jsou hájení.
Že dokonalá vycpanina je tou nejlepší vyučovací pomůckou.
A lot of birds.
Vždycky si říkáme, že nejhezčí věc na světě
je přátelství.
No. A co dál, Jindřiško? No?
Upřímnost.
A to všechno dohromady znamená být dobrým občanem našeho městečka.
Okay, so I wonder if there's going to be an idea that's developed with the community, of purpose within the community.
Namaluje, co se mu v našem městečku líbí nebo nelíbí, nebo co by se mu líbilo, aby tu bylo ještě hezčí.
Oh, that's cool. So I guess they did a double exposure on it. That's cool, though, the brightness that they emit.
Tím kormidelníkem na jedné řecké lodi a vyjeli jsme za krásného počasí. Až teprve, když jsme jeli kolem toho mysu, tak najednou vypukla bouře. A přivedla mě na malé náměstíčko a s tím kouzelníkem přijela dívka. A jmenovala se Diana.
Diana the Hunt.
Chodil kocour. A ten kocour měl něco, co žádný kocour na světě nikdy nemá. Brejličky. Tak šmrnc. A sebral jsem kocourovi brejličky. A stalo se, jak Diana pravila. Někteří byli fialoví.
A kdo?
Lháři a farizejové.
Nevěrníci a nevěrnice byli žlutí.
Abys věděla to nejdůležitější, Jindřiško, zamilovaní byli červení jako vlčí mák, protože ty fialoví a ty šediváci nechtěli, aby se to o nich vědělo, tak byli zlí a zabili kocoura.
Probouzí v dětech fantazii.
Ve vědeckou, ať jiná pro mě neexistuje, neexistuje.
Okay, so there's a dichotomy also being set up of the administrator believing in the scientific and the rational, and that contrasting with the beautiful or the artistic, the contents of the soul. Maybe he'll take a traveling circus to change his mind. Red, we've established, is the color of lovers. Is that also him? The actor's playing dual roles? Like a version of himself that stayed on with the circus? Interesting. And another cat with glasses, as in the fable. That's beautiful, using the fabric to kind of distort or put a gauze on the lens. That was a technique that the cinematographer for Picnic at Hanging Rock used to give that kind of ethereal quality to the film. It's cool putting like cameras in the hands of like magicians and illusionists, people of that kind of like background, and see like how they utilize those kind of theatrical tricks in the filmic medium. It was, to a lesser extent, something that like Orson Welles was doing in his work. But the intent is always ways to like captivate the audience, to confound the audience, leave them speechless, never quite knowing how you do your tricks. It's a cinema of spectacle. And while at times I think it's at odds with more serious storytelling or more psychological storytelling, it's a different filmic tradition. This is also like the birth of cinema itself. This is like the kind of like projects or experiments that Méliès would employ. Oh, it's the story of Robert. I see. That's interesting. And Robert is similarly captivated by birds. And of course, that's Comrade. Oh, he's telling a story of the town. Oh dear. Oh dear. And of course, the lapdog of the school supervisor. He has read them for filth. This is really fun, though. You can actually, I mean, this might look like, if you haven't watched the setup, this might look like mysterious or impossible, but you realize that the other performers were wearing black because they were doing a puppeteering trick. I wonder if that's a like commentary on this film itself, as it just being ribaldry. Like, I wonder if this movie has more like specific intentions that are hiding behind a normal kids movie or a fantasy movie. That's right. He's identifying the people of the town, much like the cat will later. Yeah. Interesting. And so they're gonna replay this story of the Cassandra Cat. They're all gonna try and kill this cat. Ooh, that's so beautiful. I wonder if there's a story being told about... Ooh, how did they do that? I wonder if there's a story being told about life under communism in Czechoslovakia at this time. I don't know. There's very deliberate statements that they're making about the superiority of science and intellect over emotions and feelings. And there are earlier kind of setups about this being an old village that appeals to a new generation, a generation that's that reckons with the town as like a relic. Okay, so gray for thieves, purple for liars and careerists, and yellow for adulterers. Whoa. It's beautiful. Oh my gosh, I love this so much. This is actually also like just a little bit. I mean, like, it'll remind you of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, of course, or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, of course. But there's this Michael Powell movie I watched recently, or it's not a Powell, it's not a movie, it's a television special he did called The Boy Who Turned Yellow, and it played similarly with these kind of color effects. This is beautiful. This is stunning. Oh my gosh. The playful Czech version of the Joker. Just introduce a little bit of chaos. Oh man. Brian De Palma watched this and he's like, I gotta use this setup for Carrie. And he's finally discovered he's the color red of true love. Oh my god, the look between these two. This is wild. I love this. You take the energies, the impulses that are in like Wizard of Oz or The Red Shoes or Méliès, and then you just like set it to jazz, put sexual undertones under it, and put it within the context of an Eastern European communist state, and you get this wonderful hodgepodge. It's like the kind of like undertones of the village, the like sexual undertones, the gender undertones, that there's all these kind of like truths that are being suppressed or inhibited, that are being drawn to light by this cat. The most important thing is that it hasn't like told any lies about them. This is something that is the inherent truth to them. And the longer that they suppress it, the more forceful it comes out when it's revealed. And this is like, I don't know if it's like a specific reference, but I don't know. Artists like love themselves. They love their medium at least, and this could be a callback to Hamlet, going back to them telling the story of the gossip that goes around in the town, that art reveals the truth of our humanity or our nature. Similarly to how in Hamlet the oh god, this is an English quiz I'm about to fail, but the murder of Gonzago is utilized to reflect the truth of the king's crimes. There's also an interesting interaction between the human world and the animal world that I'm not sure what exactly is the statement it's making. It could be just a really clear statement of the innocence of animals and the hypocrisy of humankind, but I wonder if there's anything more specific to it.
Pane Oliva, prosím vás, neběžel tudy mourek.
No já jsem ho dnes spytli, aby ho nezamordovali. Nemohl byste nám ukázat, co máte v tom vaku? Promiňte mou nedůvěru. Nevadí.
Promiňte
nedůvěru. Zlí jazykové tvrdí, že pojídám kočky.
Yeah, we're used to distrust here. I wonder if there's a more concerted statement about the conditions of this village, perhaps under a communist regime. I wonder.
Já se snažím pěstovat dětskou fantazii. To je křehká bylina. No já se pokouším z ní vypěstovat trvalku odol. A pro podvojníku brou. Velmi brou.
Velmi brou. It's an interesting dialogue that they're having that's perhaps about the nature of the film itself, of cultivating children, of giving them the right lessons, of art and imagination in children being a kind of like withered plant that is only given a small window to grow every year, and trying to infuse it with the strength to be able to sustain and to continue. It's like a very it's very lofty goals for like a children's movie that's supposed to just be about spectacle or just supposed to be about entertainment, to try and infuse a political engine into it. I don't think it's necessarily like wrong. I think there is a capacity in children's art and in entertainment that's intended for children to have a moral core to it, and even complex moral core to it. And this isn't a perfect example, but like from this generation's childhood, like Fern Gully is an early introduction to of the concepts of environmentalism and conservationalism to children of the 90s. There's some really beautiful effects here where I'm not sure how they achieved it, because to a certain degree, it seems like it's too lustrous to just be like a paint application or a makeup application. And so I wonder if they have sharpened it in post-production, but I wonder if it's like a mix of the two, because yeah, here it's obviously added in post, but I wonder if they had to wear red or makeup and stuff when they actually shot this in order to bolster the effect. You can actually see some of the shadowiness that happens as a result of the double exposure. The opacity of the umbrella goes in and out. And there's the two storks again. I guess the two storks are meant to symbolize like love, perhaps. It's a really bright movie. It's a movie that's chosen to kind of overexpose in some elements. I'm not sure how to it's just not playing by the rules at all. I'm not sure how to properly explain it, but it feels like a celebration of light in the same way that I think what we do when we look at the sky is similarly a celebration of light. That there's a certain kind of like openness, wideness to the way that like the sky or the daylight is depicted in these narratives that feels like regional, that feels specific in a way that is not similarly depicted in many films that are like in the canon or in the core. Like you never see a New York film look like this. And if you did, it would be like it'd be like The Age of Innocence, where it's reserved for very specific scenes, and most of the other scenes are lit inside of dark rooms, dark, luscious rooms, but rooms that defy and escape from the light. I also think that Ken Russell has some interesting kind of plays with light in his movies. Women in Love, definitely. Unsurprisingly, the movie has an anti-animal cruelty stance. Perhaps it's best not to shoot at other problems. That poor model. I don't know if I've said this in one of the videos that I've recorded or that I've published, that when you get into like Eastern European territories or foreign movie territories, at times you run afoul of certain animal rights abuses that get perpetrated in older films, and it's terrible, but it's also like... a kind of reality you have to accept of the era.
God. Ooh.
Yeah, kind of like a fabulist way, or a or a morality play kind of way. It switched into the second half, where the first half was within the town, and like the strange or the peculiar circus rides into the town and changes it and affects it. And in the second half, the townspeople enter into the forest and interact with the natural world and enter like the space of the dreams or the magic or the uncanny, the unreal. I love the inherent mania of this, that once you realize that the love inside you, or the lust or the sexual urge inside you, you have no choice. But really, it's love. It's love. Once you confront the love that's inside you, you offer up no resistance. You must follow through. All these people need is a moment of clarity to really, truly ask themselves what they want of themselves and of each other. And they're brought to life. And the children bring back the Cassandra Cat, like the Pied Piper or something. These children, if they have art in their lives, if they have magic in their lives, they'll set the town right. They will turn the eyes of accusation on all of the hypocritical parents. Oops. I mean, this story is really focusing on the like hypocritical aspect of it, that all these adults are fucking liars and thieves and adulterers, but I really love the manic aspect of this. I mean, you know what my priorities are by this point. I love to see love in full bloom in movies. These springtime, these summertime narratives, ravenous, raging, blooming, blossoming, uncontrollable love. Just let it overwhelm you. I hope that animal trainer really did a diligent job on this, because that cat's been on this screen for a long, long time. And it's a really empowering film as well. It's placing a lot of the power in the hands of children and trusting that they won't destroy anything, that they are the kind of like the true compass, the true moral compass of the film.
Dáte na něho pozor.
To víš, že dám. Dokud si Diana pro něho nepřijde, bude mu u mě nejlíp.
Jdu na toho mršku.
Do not shoot that cat, you fuckers.
Počkat, stát! A co řeknu dětem? Svěřili mi Mourka a teď...
No rebelanstvím nic nespravíš.
Já neumím ohýbat páteř, Julinko.
Ale prosím tebe, taktika...
I mean, Robert should have done a better job defending this cat. Honestly,
Pro tebe, Roberte, jenom pro tebe.
I don't know if that was the best move on his part.
Tak se musíš uchýlit ke
It's great that he's in love and shit, but he's also a really weak protagonist.
Nese Mourka v kleci. A má punčochu na hlavě.
I hope the animal trainer on this movie got paid.
To je zajímavé. Na první pohled docela...
I wonder what color the school administrator is going to be. I think we're leading up to him being a gray, but I wonder if he's going to be a different color. I think he's going to be a black. There's also an odd recurrence, going back to the like aperture thing, an odd recurrence of surveillance in this movie. For a movie that has a political message to it, I think it's an interesting feature of the movie that a solution of surveillance is placed in the hands of the good citizens. And I mean, surveillance is, to a certain degree, intrinsic to the Cassandra Cat itself. That's an interesting aspect to the movie. I hadn't really thought of that. Because, like, that's kind of intrinsic to the symbolism of the film, bringing things to light, witnessing things that are going unregarded or unspoken of. It is interesting to, like, shape that or apply that to the concept of surveillance, though.
Posuďte sami. Může takovýhle člověk vyučovat naše děti? Radím ti dobře, Roberte. Najdi si jiné zaměstnání. Jinak...
Are they going to counter a new cat by painting it? And this is again playing into the idea of art versus inhumanity or cruelty, that the art is how they're going to save the cat or free the cat. Wow. Nothing better than public works. This is what we want when we want a society that certifies, that celebrates its art. We're not saying that each individual piece of art is on a objective level good or bad. We're saying that in aggregate it enriches society. Okay, idiots? It's a beautiful sentiment. Strike! Strike!
Žáci třetí třídy se důrazně vyzývají, abyste okamžitě vrátili do svých domovů.
And this is also an interesting play on the narrative of the Pied Piper. We're going to talk about that later. but the kids have kind of taken the kids, ostensibly charmed by the circus and by the Cassandra Cat, within their own agency, have taken upon themselves to abandon the village, to go into hiding, to drive the adults to make the right decision.
Všichni za mnou, prosím, dopředu, z levé strany lidi a tam z pravé strany zase...
The amount of resources the parents are willing to put into finding these children, to restoring order, when all they need to do is return the cat. Wow. Kind of like useless allocation of resources, but the solution to this problem is actually very simple and very small, but they'll waste all this time and all this energy and all this effort trying to solve the problem in the wrong way, because the right way would actually incriminate them. Back when protest was viewed as a viable means of public discourse, viable means of public dissent.
A co tvoje sebekritika?
Chyboval jsem. A sama si slyšela. Patolízal, simulant. Prostě hnus.
Dude is a malingerer.
A proto děti honem sem, ať už si zase spolu hrajeme a spolu si říkáme, že ta nejkrásnější věc na světě je přátelství.
And standing up for what's right. Are they hiding in the clock tower? The Castellan has been hiding there. In there. That makes sense. Oh, good, Cat's still alive. The parents cower. It's really cool because, like, it isn't like they're being charged with anything. It's not like there's any necessarily like direct accusations that are being made. It's just having the truth brought to light.
Slyšíš?
Wow. Stunning. I do love me a mass hysteria movie. And advocating for polyamory. Well done. Well done. Oh. You tried your best. That's all you could do, girl. He was right all along. This motherfucker. He was just afraid to admit it. Yeah, I told you he'd be a different color. He's all three at once. No grays? Cute. Cute. I know how it feels, girl. Cute. We will not have ageism in our movie. We will celebrate our elderly. We will celebrate our children. All of them are fundamental in creating a society. If that means, if you've got a problem with fucking your elders, then let me tell you, you're not welcome in this society. Oh, wow.
Bylo, nebylo, ale spíš by mělo být.
That was cute. I really like that. Wow. I think the movie had like sublime imagery to it. The mix of the poetic with the fantastic, with the magical, with the illusory. I think the movie presented some wonderful images, and I think it had at its core a deep kind of sentimentality and optimism that's that's beautifully expressed. I don't think many movies will take the position of being on the sides of children so strongly that it's like, actually the parents are completely wrong. They're completely hypocritical. I don't think films will be that willing to fuck over their audience in that way. And so I applaud this movie for that. I think for my tastes, the tone bounced back and forth a little bit more extremely than what I exactly feel comfortable with. Maybe not comfortable, but that like I completely gel with. I think there are like two stories being told. The story from the perspective of the kids and the story from the perspective of the adults. I think there's an undertone of sexuality to this movie explored in the parents section that I have a hard time reconciling with the children's section. I will say for this film's in this film's defense that it makes a concerted effort to decouple the idea of love with the idea of lust between the adults. It really tries to make a pointed effort to make it be about love in a asexual or non-sexual way, but in terms of the feelings of mania, the feelings of passion that are in the undercurrent of the red story of the movie, I don't think the depiction is as chaste as it would need to be. It's chaste in the presentation of the story of Robert and Deanna, but in terms of the way the dancing, the interaction with the other adults, that read to me as sexual in a way that my brain just gets a little bit haywire putting that so directly against the story of the children. Yeah, but I think that's part of the kind of like interesting nature of this movie in general, that it tries to combine really disparate elements in it. Like that could be taken as well from the perspective of the children's story butting up against the political story, the story of like observing what daily life is like under this communist regime, balancing the magical elements of this film with the political elements of this film. Yeah, so it's a like kind of challenging mix, but like I think it plays better when you're like you're a kid and you're watching a kids movie and you don't have to like think too deeply about all those elements coming together. And having so many disparate elements coming together in a children's story, in a children's movie, is part of the fascination of children's movies, that they are much more pliable and they're much more loose than many adult films that feel like they have to be about one thing or feel that they have to convey one message, and they kind of tailor their entire story around that. I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, we get Bresson films out of adults making adult oriented films, but there's a degree of intentional discord with children's films that I think is really cool. I think that's like one of the aspects that makes, to me, such a simultaneously challenging and rewarding filmmaker, depending on if you're a kid or you're an adult while you're watching his movies. I think that's what makes like the Bakshi animations as like challenging, but also as memorable as they are. The kind of discord that they strike. I think that's an element to early Disney as well. The fascinatingly horrible and beautifully innocent that's in his early films, characterized in Snow White and the Evil Stepmother, or Pinocchio and the Island of Lost Boys, or Maleficent and Sleeping Beauty. Like, that kind of discord is, I won't say intrinsic, but is a fascinating feature of children's movies. And part of the effect of children's movies is that kids take all of that in on a surface level and accept it for what it is, and adults take all of it and, I don't know, it's like a willow branch or a switch. Like, every single disparate element just like brushes up against them and snaps and cuts, and that's like the frustration that adults have when watching these movies, that it's like it's irreconcilable, or it's formless, or it's contradictory, or it's paradoxical. And so it really kind of like feeds into a different way of viewing films. Not to say like turn off your brain and just enjoy the entertainment thing, but like watching films with the emotional availability of kids. Interesting movie. If anything, this really made me want to check out another movie. I think I have my next movie on my list now. The next Jacques Demy movie I want to check out after watching this, certainly, I'm going to watch The Pied Piper. So yeah, that was a Cassandra Cat. Next up is going to be The Pied Piper. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts on this movie. It's available to watch on YouTube. You should check it out. Let me know if you have any thoughts on it. If you've watched it in your childhood, I'd love to hear about that. I'd love to hear about what it was like growing up with this movie in your household. What your takeaways from the movie were when you were a kid. How do you watch it differently as an adult? Yeah, all that good stuff. In the meantime, don't forget to click the like button and subscribe for more old, obscure, and art house films. And until next time, keep watching good movies.